Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of RAU'S IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates.
Hello everyone and welcome to the weekly edition of DNS, where we discuss the Indian Express Explained section articles and the Sunday edition of the Hindu newspaper. Articles put up for today's discussion are listed on your screen and the timestamping for these articles is already given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article itself. So the first article for today's discussion is from the Hindu newspaper Sunday edition. This article was published on the frequently asked question page of the Hindu newspaper and talks about India's stance on net zero emission in the future. Well, as far as context of this article is concerned, it deals with the fact that despite the third largest emitter in the world, India has not committed at all about the target or the deadline for cutting down its emission to net zero, which in the article is also known by the term carbon neutrality. Now, what is carbon neutrality? What is India's instance on this? What is the current global demand? How India has performed on reduction of carbon emissions? What are the present issues attached to the net zero concept, and what are the choices left with India is going to be part of our today's discussion. The relevance of this article comes from the fact that there are important key terms which are mentioned in this article, including your carbon neutrality, which can be asked in the examination both in the prelims as well as the mains examination. When it comes to the mains examination specifically, it is important for your General Studies paper 3 related to the environmental concern. So let us begin this article with the first pointer. Now, what is the global demand? Well, as of now, US or the United States has commented that they have not received any assurance from India on the part of carbon neutrality. Now, the point comes is, what is carbon neutrality? Well, carbon neutrality is nothing but a state of being zero. And zero here stands for zero carbon dioxide emission. And zero emission of carbon dioxide does not mean that we will have no CO2 emission at all. The neutrality here means that positives or the emission inclusion will be cancelled out with the negative ones. That means whatever we are adding up as a CO2 in the environment will be brought back to its natural state. This carbon could be achieved by balancing the emission, that is what we are putting up outside in the environment and what we are getting back from the environment. And this can be done through the methods such as offsetting, which is also known by the name carbon offsetting, or even by eliminating emission from the society. Well, as far as neutrality is concerned, it simply means we will keep the entire emission of carbon at a particular level for long. So when it comes to the carbon neutrality, United States is trying to build a momentum where they are trying to bring more nations into the talk and bringing pledge from various nations to come on a ground of carbon neutrality. So as of now, there are 130 countries which have come forward to stand for net zero carbon emission. However, India under the pressure has set the targets to achieve and to reduce CO2 emission. However, still India is not clear on its ground for the carbon neutrality. And this is the basic crux of this article, that many developed countries including US and European Union want India to be participative and pledge their commitment on carbon neutrality as soon as possible. So what India has done if they have not been on the carbon neutrality front? Well, as of now, India has already pledged its national determined contribution in order to reduce the emission intensity of the GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030, that is in the next 9 years. However, India has not at all favored the concept of carbon neutrality as a nation. India has also denied to align with any intensive targets or ambition for achieving 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature goal, which became part of Paris Climate Deal 2015. As of now, India as a nation which is committed towards environmental protection has pledged to increase its renewable targets up to the level of 450 gigawatts by the year 2030, which is very ambitious, and if come into practice, India will definitely have better hand in the international platform. Now, the question is that why India is not doing this effort despite knowing that many other countries, including the developed countries like China, have already pledged to bring net zero carbon emission by 2060. US has done to achieve the same target by 2050, and European nations is trying to achieve the same target by 2050. Now, the point is that India's reluctance in order to come up with the net carbon neutrality comes from the fact of the following issues. Well, India has a very high reliance on carbon usage in the form of coal. And India, as a developing nation, rely heavily on the production of energy using the coal. The most important reason behind this being that India's current energy emission from the coal is around 70% and even higher. The second reason being that there is an increasing emission through transportation. As the transportation sector, including your railways and roadway, goes on expansion, the more number of automobiles going on to the roads every day, and as the urbanization expands across the nation, what we will observe that there is an increase in the carbon emission from the transportation. Despite the fact that India has already moved towards the Bharat Stage 6 norms. The next issue is the limited progress on the afforestation. India's annual growth on afforestation program is very limited. In fact, biannual survey of forest also shows that the forest quality, that is the very dense forest, is falling across India, and this is a matter of concern. The next being your developing nature of the economy. It means that India as a developing nation has requirements for higher energy consumption that cannot be denied on any other fact. So being a developing country, India require high energy emissions, that too at a available low cost. So clean energy is expensive, so India cannot afford that. India's environmental ministry has already clarified this at the international platform that net zero or carbon neutrality has never remained an issue or was never a part of India's national policy on environment. And lastly, even at the UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, has already provided that nations can go for common but differentiated responsibility. It simply means that India, like many other developing countries, can set their target on different parameters and different footings. So, given these conditions, it would not be feasible for India as of now to go for any higher targets or even pledge on carbon neutrality. So let us see what is the current controversy related to the net zero policy across the world. The first one is that it is used only for the political purposes according to many environmentalists. They say that nations, including your developed nations, want to expand their technological advancement in the clean energy to the developing countries in order to make money for their own political interest. The second thing is that the technology which we are talking about, that is the technology leading to the carbon neutrality, carbon sequestration, carbon capture, all of them are at the nascent stage. They are very new. They have not been developed at a larger scale. And lastly, according to many experts, going for net neutrality, going for net zero carbon emissions simply means that it allows the fossil fuel industry to expand more. Instead, the international leaders should come forward to reduce the carbon emission rather than bringing the net neutrality. Well, lastly, we have what are the choices available to India. It is nothing but a kind of way forward. The first one is the energy efficiency in all sector. The most important being your power sector, transportation sector and your industrial sector. If these three sectors bring more efficiency and more output per unit of energy utilized, they will definitely have higher efficiency. Secondly, we can also bring state government with their respective climate plan, because see, the climate plan of Rajasthan will definitely be different from the climate plan of Northeast because they have different climatic conditions. So let the state define what kind of plan they are finding to be more suitable. And lastly, we require climate governance institutions both at the center at the national level. Well, these kind of institutions can bring ideas, expertise, capacity building and can go to the lowest possible level in the society and aware people about reducing their carbon emissions. So given this entire discussion in place, I leave you with this following question. So read this question carefully and answer in the comment box. Let us now move to the next article for the day. So this article got published in the Indian Express Explained section and talks about the important universal phenomena of dark energy and dark matter. Well, as far as context of this article goes, scientists have recently found clues about dark energy in the universe. And this was the first human detection of dark energy ever. The experiment was conducted as Xenon 1T, and this experiment is based on world's most sensitive dark matter experiment and situated in the country Italy. Well, when it comes to the relevance of this article, the relevance comes from the fact that astronomical phenomena are very important for your prelims examination because missions, projects, and in fact, the different satellites can be asked by the UPSC in the prelims examination. On mains front, this topic is important for your General Studies paper 3 because dark matter can help to frame different scientific approach and also help us on different research and development in the future, so it becomes relevant for the mains examination as well. As far as content of this article is concerned, we will talk about the basics of the findings and what does the dark matter and dark energy concern to the human race. The relevance of this topic also comes from the fact that in 2015, UPSC asked question related to the Goldilocks zones in the universe. Hence, astronomical current affairs of this quality becomes important for us to go in detail. So let us see what is dark matter. Fritz Zwicky constructed in 1930 that there must be something in the galaxies or between the galaxies which cannot be seen. This invisible and undetected matter was later called as dark matter. Now, dark matter constitute about 27% of the entire universe, and they are actually considered to be holding the galaxies together in the universal set. And we know that galaxies are made up of different forms of stars, planets, and their satellites. So galaxies along with their components are held together through the dark matter. Well, dark matter is actually the matter which interacts with the gravity. So the real question is that why dark matter cannot be detected by now? Well, the reason being simple, it does not interact with any other matter. So be it a gas, be it a solid, be it a liquid across the universe, they do not interact with the dark matter. Secondly, light cannot be reflected by this dark matter. So basic physics says that when light is not reflected from an object, we cannot see that. And this is the case why it remains invisible. The second reason being that it is also invisible to the electromagnetic radiation, which is part of the larger component of the universe. So both these things, the light, the electromagnetic, cannot be detected using the dark matter, hence it remains invisible. But how come as of now scientists say that there is the existence of dark matter? The answer being that the scientists are confident because of the gravitational effect which the dark matter has intergalaxies and intragalaxies. Alright, so this is something which is known as dark matter. It is almost making 27% of the universe. It is invisible to light and electromagnetic radiation. However, it has gravitational impact. Coming to what is dark energy? Well, dark energy is nothing but a repulsive force, kind of anti-gravity. In layman's language, gravity brings two different objects closer to each other. So if it is anti-gravity, dark energy simply means that it will take two objects away from each other. So the dark matter which we have discussed previously, they attract and hold galaxy together. Dark energy, on the other hand, repels and causes the expansion of the universe. It was declared decades ago that expansion of the universe is a continuous process and it has not been static anyhow. So the reason for the expansion of the universe could also be led to the dark energy. The second point is that dark energy is abundant. It is more abundant than the dark matter itself. On the rough figure, as we have seen, the dark matter constitutes 27%, while dark energy constitutes 68% of the universe. As it is part of the universe, so expansion of the universe will also cause the expansion of the dark energy. And lastly, as we have discussed previously, dark energy is responsible for the expansion of the universe. So both dark energy and dark matter are known by the name because they do not reflect light. We cannot see them directly. So it is like this: we cannot see the center of a black hole, it is invisible. The same comes to the fact that dark energy and dark matter remains invisible to the human eye. A news article was related to finding the basics about the dark energy in the universe. So, given this discussion in place, the question attached to this article will be part of your question of the day in the last part of your discussion. So, let us now move to the next article for the day. So, the next article for today's discussion is from the Indian Express Explained section and deals with the important new initiative for the defense sector. Well, the context of the article says that Ministry of Defense has placed an order for the supply of 118 units of main battle tank Arjuna Mark 1A variant. Now, Mark 1A is nothing but a new form or a new version of the already existing battle tank Arjuna. Well, the relevance of this article comes from the fact that UPSC is very active in asking questions from the defense sector, especially the defense equipments. As you can see from this question mentioned below, where the UPSC has asked questions related to a THAAD, that is Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System. Well, this was in news for which it became important for the prelims examination for UPSC. And this is the reason why we are already covering this Arjun tank article from the Express section. Apart from the prelims examination itself, it is important for the mains examination also, because in mains examination you can quote these kind of initiatives of the Indian government while writing way forward, or in fact writing the government initiatives as far as questions on national security is concerned. Now, coming to the content. In this article, we will discuss two things. First, what are the basic features of the new Arjuna tank Mark 1A, and what is the significance of bringing a new tank into the defense system. So, let us begin the first one. So, what's new in Arjuna Mark 1A? Before that, let us understand that this tank was developed by DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization, way back in 1980s. So, the objective of bringing this tank into practice was to augment the predominantly Russian made armed fleet back then. So, the reason for bringing this was to replace the age old Russian armor fleet that India was using for its warfare. We used the Russian imports during the war with Pakistan in Western Front. After so long development process, it was finally inducted to the Indian Armed Forces in 2004. However, the technology was obsolete. And this was the reason why India began researching on variant Mark 1A or MK1A, which was inducted in 2012, and now they are being utilized on the regular basis. Now, the benefit of these tanks are manifold. The first of all, it can work in all terrain mobility. It means it can work in the desert area, it can work in the plains, they can also work in the mountainous area, they can also work in different modes of operations. They have better target acquisitions, so now error can be reduced in the battlefield. They can have precision both in the day and night, that too with 360-degree view. They have indigenously developed armor system known by the name Kanchan. So this is also an important keyword which could be asked in the prelim examination. So make a note on this. They also have a dedicated missile system in which they are using the small guns in order to target the enemies. Because it is highly indigenized system, it has reduced India's dependence on the foreign vendors. And it has also brought the use of information technology which was absent in the model which was developed during 1980s. It is now connected to the computer networks and can help utilize the modern warfare techniques in the war. It is also suited for the desert terrain, as we have discussed in multiple exercises which India conduct. Most of those defense exercises are being conducted either in the Himalayan region or in the desert part. And whenever there is an exercise in the desert part, Arjuna tank do make participation. As it is a process of indigenization, it will help both in Make in India as well as Atma Bharat program of the government. And lastly, the secondary benefit from this comes in the form of employment generation to about 8,000 people in the country. So, given this article discussed in the prelims perspective, now I will leave you with this important question to answer. So, read this question carefully and answer question in the comment box. Let us move to the next article for the day. Now we come to the last article for the day. We have taken this article from the explained section of Indian Express, and the relevance of this article comes from the fact that astronomy or the astrological events are extremely important for your prelims as well as the mains examination, which we will discuss very shortly. The context of the article says that China's Chang'e 5 retrieved fragments from the youngest lunar rock ever brought back for the analysis in laboratories on Earth. Well, China's Chang'e mission was launched on the far side of the moon, which is not visible from Earth. It is dark, it does not receive any solar light at all. And that is the reason why it became curious for the scientific community. The relevance of this article comes from the fact that both in the prelims as well as the mains examination, astronomical missions are of extreme importance. And in fact, in the mains 2017, one of the questions asked by the UPSC was related to the Chandrayana and the Mars orbiter mission of India. They have also asked questions related to the Juno mission, that too in the mains examination. So given this kind of approach which UPSC is utilizing for the prelims as the mains examination, it is important for us to understand about the mission and about what was the basic findings of this mission to the moon. Now, UPSC has already asked questions on moon in multiple instances. They have asked questions in 2010, as you can see, one of the options was related to the moon. In 2011, they have asked the questions related to moon again. In 2014, again moon was mentioned in one of the options, and in 2016 they have asked questions related to the space organizations of different countries. So astronomy is extremely important for your prelims as well as mains examination. So let us start understanding what this mission is all about. Well, the Chang'e 5 mission is an unmanned spacecraft which was sent to the moon to bring back the lunar rocks. Lunar rock simply here means that the mission will go there, land on the moon, collect the sample of the rock and bring it back on Earth. Well, this was the first attempt by any nation in the last 4 decades to bring back moon's sample. Well, the name of Chang'e 5 comes from the ancient name of Chinese goddess of the moon, and it will help the scientists to understand the origin and the formation of the moon, because soil and rock samples are the first thing which arrives on the surface of a planet, or in fact this natural satellites. Even on the Earth, we can get about the composition of Earth and how it was formed based on the rocks which we have. So if you go on analyzing the igneous rock, metamorphic rock, or in fact the sedimentary rocks present on the planet, you will easily get the idea of how Earth was evolved. It was launched utilizing the Long March 5 Y5 rocket. So Long March is a prefix used by China in its space missions. It's like what we are using as a PSLV and GSLV. Long March is nothing but a rocket utilized by China for its space missions. Now, the key task of this mission was to drill 2-meter hole in the moon's surface and scoop out at least 2 kilograms of rock samples and bring them back to Earth. Now, these samples were brought back, and the benefit of this was that scientists can come across the origin of moon, the volcanic activity on the interior and the surface of moon, and of course the magnetic field, because ion composition can help us to understand what is the current magnetic field on this natural satellite. Now, what the finding has revealed? The finding has revealed that the sample which was brought by the Chang'e 5 shows that 90% of the material on the landing site included mer basalts. It means that in the past there was a very heavy volcanic activity on moon, and the rest 10% of the mineral is called as exotic chemicals and their composition, because they have not been deciphered by now. So what we have learned so far, that a mission from China went to moon, brought back the soil samples, and from that soil sample we come across the fact that there was a heavy volcanic activity on moon, and because of that the soil has very large ratio of basalts. If you have read the NCERTs of 11th and 12th geography, you must be well aware about what basalts are all about. So with this discussion in place, now I will leave you with this important question to answer. So read this question carefully and answer in the comment box. Now we finally move to the question of the day.